Welcome to another episode of the BitGeek Podcast. I'm your host, John Avis, and sitting on the couch with me to my left is the Prince of Pixels himself,
Nick Wright.
Nick, what does Herbie, the Mach 5, and the Mystery Machine have in common?
Herbie, the Love Bug, the Mach 5 from Speed Racer, and the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo. All of those sound like some pretty popular fictional vehicles.
That they do. And today's episode is all about our 10 favorite fictional vehicles from either TV or movies. Here we are again, Nick, doing one of our patented top 10 favorites. Not your definitive, but our favorite 10.
Our favorites.
But I thought it would be fun to list our favorite, vehicles from TV or movie or whatever. It could be anything. Comic books, I don't care.
Oh, yeah.
Because, nothing really captured my imagination, or a few things captured my imagination, like some of these cool vehicles, because for obvious reasons, they make neat toys a lot of times.
Yeah.
They're like the central, combining thing. They're the thing that brought a lot of the things that we love like together. Like they're kind of the centerpiece, I guess I want to say. These vehicles are a lot of times the centerpiece of a show or a movie. You couldn't have had it without this vehicle.
Yes.
So what a fun list to do would be our 10 favorite fictional, or I guess it could be real vehicles from TV or movie. And I guess since you started on the PlayStation list in our last episode, I will get started with mine.
By all means.
Okay. So my number one favorite vehicle is and I tried to find a name for this online, but I couldn't. So I'm just going to call it the alien spacecraft from the movie the Flight of the Navigator.
Flight of the Navigator.
Yeah.
How much more 80s can you get?
It's a very 80s thing filled with Pee Wee Herman references.
Yeah.
The little alien to make the kid more comfortable took on the persona of Pee Wee Herman.
Right.
And it's a really interesting movie that we both have seen a number of times.
Countless times. Because it was like always on TV, when we were kids. You just turn it on and there's Flight of the Navigator.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a time travel kind of movie, I guess. It's kind of starts out when they're in the 50s, and then he's suddenly in the 80s, and his family's older, but he's still a kid.
Yeah.
And he gets whisked away on this cool adventure. And I remember like the kid sits down in the pilot seat, and they had those neat like little levers that he would pilot the craft with.
Like everything was very like dynamic. Things would move around. It was like liquid metal.
Yeah.
Was Terminator 2 even out at that time?
No. I think Flight of the Navigator came out around 86 or 87.
Yeah.
And the reason I know that is because there's a scene that we both remember. We talked about it actually, where the government's like after him the whole time, and they get him, and and I don't remember if it was NASA or some other government agency, but to make him feel like they wanted him to have toys and stuff. So they all in the background on his bed, they had all these like at the time famous toys.
Yeah.
And sitting back there,
look, he's got some Transformers.
Yeah, sitting back there is some Insecticons.
Yeah.
I don't know.
See that kickback? I want one.
Yeah, man, I recognize that kickback, and he never played with that. What a waste, because he escapes. At least take the kickback with you, dude. He didn't know he was from like the 60s. He had no idea how cool Transformers were.
That's right.
But yeah, it's a great little movie, and like you said, it was very dynamic in that, seeing that box art from the clamshell of the video, like that, it's like shaped like a bullet or something, or a Nerf football, like those Nerf footballs with the grooves in them, and just how awesome that was. He had like little alien creatures on board with him.
Yeah, I like those little creatures, like the one that ate his hat.
Yeah, or the one that kind of like sat with him, the little small one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he would pet him and all that.
And the one was like a little snot.
Oh yeah, he was like a fungus or something.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's got a cold.
Yeah, I remember that. But you know, I'm kind of double dipping with this because it's one of my favorite like kids '80s movies of all time.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
And it's because that spaceship was so cool.
Yeah,
and
it like transformed. It got like it made the nose cone real pointed. You know, because it was just kind of like round, and then it looked like it kind of turned, and it had formed like a little nose cone, and then took off real fast.
And also remember too when it would float for them to get out, they would the liquid metal, like you said, would form the steps.
Little stairs would come down. Yeah, it was cool.
So that was like way before T2.
I never really thought about it in that way before. That it was like liquid metal.
Me neither until you said it, but that's perfect. It was just like poured straight from liquid metal, and it was whatever the most aerodynamic shape that it could possibly be to go the fastest as it can. That's what it would have been.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why the government wanted it so bad. I don't know. I can't remember all the nuances of the movie itself because I haven't seen it in probably 20 years or more.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But I love that movie, and I love that alien spaceship. I mean, when I think alien spaceships from the 80s, that just pops up in my mind right away. So that's my number one. Nick, what's your number one?
Well, my number one is kind of another transforming vehicle in a sense. The Gadgetmobile from Inspector Gadget.
I love the Gadgetmobile. That thing was awesome.
From the cartoon. Not so much the movie, but
no, forget the movie.
But
it didn't do anything in the movie.
It would transform from like a police car. And it would the top would kind of go down and then pop back up, and it'd be like a minivan or something, I think.
Yeah, and well, they'd always show that in the opening scenes of the show, the opening credits. Every time you get that neat little transformation.
I don't know why. I thought that the Gadgetmobile was like the coolest thing, and I wanted one.
Did they ever have a toy for that? I don't believe so.
I don't think so. I don't know. I wanted one though.
Yeah, I don't really recall.
I wanted to be able to like push down the top and pop up and be like the sporty kind of police car.
Yeah, that was a really cool show. And here we go. We can kind of double dip again. We really didn't never talk about Inspector Gadget in any of our cartoon related shows at all.
Yeah, well, I don't think we did, but it was a favorite of mine.
Yeah, Don Adams.
Oh yeah. Get smart.
And his second most famous, I guess you'd say, role as a bumbling kind of detective.
Right.
It was a perfect casting choice.
Typecast.
Yeah, he's typecast forever and ever. And then you had like the Brain, the dog, and Penny, his niece, I guess is who it was.
Yeah. But
yeah, Inspector Gadget was such a weird cartoon. He was like cyborg or something. I guess was he all cyborg or was he part human? I don't even remember now.
I mean, ignoring the movie because the movie kind of did that.
No,
but
forget that.
As far as the cartoon, I really have no idea. I don't know.
I mean, if Penny was his niece, he had to be organic at some kind of thing.
I guess he had to. I don't
know. I don't remember they ever touched that.
They never. Yeah, he was what he was. They never dealt with origin stories.
He didn't need to be anything because he was just like go Gadget, and then a helicopter would pop out of his hat, where he'd have the long arms, or in this case, everything was kind of gadgety, and his car was no different, and that thing looked really cool, and it wasn't any type of specific car, but it was an '80s car.
Yeah.
It was like whatever an 80s sports car would look like, that was like your Gadgetmobile.
I don't even know why I like it so much. It like went from a minivan to a police car.
It was awesome though. It was really cool. Well, it was transformed, so any kind of link to the Transformers.
It was memorable and I liked it.
Tangential link to the Transformers. It's like, why did I like Mask so much? The car's transformed into stuff.
Right.
That's a good one, man. The Gadgetmobile.
Yeah. So number two.
Number two for me is going to get into a TV show from the 80s. Super iconic, and that black van from the A-Team. Dun, 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 dun. We got to do like the hand thing or whatever. Didn't they
the hand thing?
They kind of did like that or something. I don't know. I might be thinking of another movie.
I don't know what you're doing with the hand thing.
No, you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of still stupid. Napoleon Dynamite, where they're doing the little scene where they're putting the like vote for Pedro signs all over the place, but they're doing it to the A-Team theme, and then at the end they do like a handshake. That. Oh, it was great. The A-Team was a show that, and the A-Team van didn't transform or do anything, but it was how they all got around. It was their vehicle. It was their transportation.
It was BA's vehicle.
It was BA's vehicle. Yeah, man. BA Baracus. And that
nobody touches his van. Nobody drives his van but him.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. T was such a huge deal at that time. I don't remember if Rocky came out first or if it was Mr. T. It had to have.
I think it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was already pretty famous when the show came out, and it just made him even more famous. But you had Hannibal, who was, the brains. He would always come up with the plans that were executed to a T.
Plan comes together.
Oh, yeah, and he'd pop the cigar in. You had Face, who was kind of like,
the ladies' man.
He was the ladies' man. He was the guy that would charm people.
Had like all the connections.
Mm-hmm. And then you had
Howling Mad Murdoch.
Howling Mad Murdoch. Hell yeah. Well, there was an episode of the A-Team on just the other day, and I remember thinking, like, is the show as good as I remember it? Because a lot of times, you have these memories of shows, and then you watch them again, you're like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
It was still a good show, man.
Yeah, I did that the other day to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Yeah, I was like, oh, look, it's on Netflix. Let me give it a try. Oh, yeah, it was awful.
What was I thinking? But no, A-Team stood up very well, and it was funny because, like, Murdoch, BA got shot, and the only person that had his blood type was Murdoch, and they were like, we need to give you Murdoch's blood. He's like, I want to fool that crazy man in me. So like the whole show, like Murdoch's messing with him. He's like, don't worry, you're not crazy, but if you start seeing stuff, that's perfectly normal. Yeah, I love Murdoch was the best, and as a team they worked so well.
Yeah.
And the modern day like Fast and the Furious, really to me is just like a modern incarnation of the A-Team.
Yeah.
And the A-Team is probably just like Mission Impossible or whatever, before it was like the 80s version of whatever that was, thing.
Yeah.
But I remember having the toy. They had A-Team toys, and the vehicle. I had a friend whose like parent like made a custom version of the A-Team van.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and but I think the problem with the actual toy is it wasn't very good to scale.
Yeah.
Like maybe it was really too small for any of the characters to fit in. So like. She made like an A-Team van that was to scale, like out of like wood, and and it was really good, like custom painted, looked just like it.
Yeah, because I remember, I actually, it's kind of one of those embarrassing moments of my childhood. Well, for Christmas one year, somebody got me like the Mr. T doll, and it was like a big doll. It was like Barbie doll size.
Oh, okay.
And like
know your audience, people.
Well, yeah, like any kid that, it's not really something that he wanted, because I didn't want Mr. T doll. And that's literally what I said. My mom got mad at me.
Oh, yeah, you don't say that.
I'm like, Mr. T, I don't want Mr. T doll.
Kids are honest, man.
Yeah, so I was a little too honest when, and I was just a little kid. But
yeah, what do you know?
I remember that, though. But
Logan has had those times where like, he'll get a gift and I can tell he's not into it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, say thank you. Like we'll figure out something to do with it. It'll be cool. We'll make it fun, okay?
And I've since seen those things at like flea markets and whatever. And, they're worth some money.
Oh, okay.
But
did it talk or anything at least?
No, it didn't talk. It was just a Mr. T doll. He didn't do anything.
Boys don't play with dolls. Come on. Jeez. Was it like an aunt or grandma gift or something?
Honestly, I don't remember. I think it was like a friend,
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
A Secret Santa type friend, maybe, where they just got something that they thought maybe cool. You remember getting those kind of presents?
Yeah, I just, I think it was just like I had a birthday party and it was just like, whatever that they picked out. I don't know. I don't remember.
It doesn't matter. It's a funny story. Yeah. But yeah, that black van I thought was really cool. And it served no purpose really, except for them like, well, the mission's complete and we better get out of here before like the military police catches us. They jump in the van and, of course, Mr. T wouldn't fly.
Right. Yeah.
He would not get in an airplane unless they had to.
Yeah,
drug
they had
him.
to like drug him, knock him out, or something.
Trick
every
him
time.
somehow.
Yeah.
So like kind of like how John Madden in football, he wouldn't get on an airplane. He had to ride that John Madden bus all across the country. He was like Mr. T. What did John Madden and Mr. T have in common? They ate to fly. But yeah, that's my number 2. I just love that show, and I thought that van was badass.
All right.
Cool.
So
Number 2 for you.
my number 2, Mark would probably kill us if we didn't have this on one of our lists. If we're talking about vehicles, is KITT from Knight Rider.
Oh hell yeah! Woo woo
Yeah.
woo woo. Bum, ba, da, 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 dun, da, 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 dun, da, da, dun, dun, dun.
Shoot, I should have looked this up beforehand. I don't remember what KITT even stood for. Mark could tell us.
Hold on, I'll look it up. You talk about KITT.
What does KITT stand for? But
Talk about David Hasselhoff for a second.
I don't want to talk about David Hasselhoff. I want to talk about the KITT's voice. The car.
Sweeney?
It talks to you.
Principal Sweeney?
Yeah, Sweeney. But the early days of the GPSs. When you would have before your phone could just do it for you.
Knight Industries 3000. That's what it stood for.
Oh, the TT is 3000. Really?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, I'm sure.
According to Wiki. So Wiki's always right.
Oh, did you say 2000 or 3000?
3000.
Well, what's that 2000?
There's 2 different versions apparently. The 2000 and 3000. Maybe 2000 was the 80s because they had.
Okay.
They kind of had a reboot in the 2000s. So.
And conveniently, both were T's. So yeah, okay. So,
Don't get mad at me, everybody. Yeah, I was close enough.
But yeah, like with GPSs, like before, you had to have like the thing, like the actual like big GPS thing that that would talk to you and give you the turn-by-turn directions and everything. Before it was just in a phone, and they made those obsolete. Mm-hmm. But anyway, there was one that had his voice. I forget.
No way.
I forget that actor's name right now, but
I'll look it up.
The voice of KITT. And so I got that like for a present for Mark. Like I think we got it for him like one Christmas or something. I don't know. So yeah, he had like the GPS thing, and his car would talk to him like KITT. It was like the coolest thing ever.
Of course, he was more famous to me as Higgins from Magnum PI.
Right.
That's really what to me. Like I was kidding when I said Sweeney, although he was in Boy Meets World.
William Daniels.
Val Kilmer came up for some reason.
William Daniels.
That
one seems familiar to me.
Oh boy, his voice was great, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a very, very recognizable name, even if his name himself wasn't. Very recognizable voice, even though maybe his name's not a household name. Yeah. Although in the 80s it probably was. But yeah, that's Higgins, that's KITT, and that's Sweeney. That red thing.
Yeah, like you said before. Vroom, vroom.
Oh my god, that was so cool. It reminds me of those robots from that old show where they had like the little red lights.
Oh,
in the
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. It had that sci-fi element to it. Very futuristic.
And every time, like inside, if you're in like the dash, and every time KITT would talk, it'd have those lights. Kind of like
the little like EQ kind of things. Yeah. That was cool. It had that boost.
He had all kinds of different things. Turbo boost. I don't remember the other features he had. But...
Yeah, KITT himself, the car, was it a Trans Am? What kind of car was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep, Pontiac Trans Am. 1982 Pontiac Trans Am. I wrote down some of the models and makes of the cars because some of these are just real cars, but modified.
Right.
KITT's awesome, dude. That was a great show. And you got to talk about David Hasselhoff a little. I mean, he was the Hoff. He was all in black. He was, I mean, you can't just have a show about the car. You had to have some kind of guy that's going to be able to carry all the scenes where you can't fit a car.
KITT could drive himself.
Did it come out of a truck or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
What was the Knight Industries? I don't even know. I haven't actually, to be honest with you, seen an episode of Knight Rider in forever.
Oh, I haven't in forever either, right? But we used to watch it frequently in the 80s.
Yeah, totally. And like I say, it did have like kind of a comeback, like, it was like a Charger or something, one of those new Chargers. I don't know.
Oh, the new version? Yeah, I'm not familiar with the new versions really.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure if it had the little red red light thing going across, which is crazy because that was the best part.
Such a staple
The Knight Rider theme song was my ringtone for like 2 or 3 years on my phone. I love that theme song. Was great, dude. And he's like driving and they're like in the desert and he's just kind of driving off. And it's like the helicopter swirl around the panning the shot. I remember that so well.
I remember there was like some like a hip hop or something that had
Busta Rhymes.
Was it Busta Rhymes?
Fired Up. Yep.
Yeah, they had like the Knight Rider like theme kind of like going in the beat.
I bought that. I bought that. That was awesome. Man.
I did too. Yeah.
Just specifically for that song because it was like the Knight Rider, but it was, you know, if you got Spotify or whatever, just like I think it's called Fired Up.
Fired Up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious to look that up now because I remember it like in the '90s. You know.
It was a '90s. It was a '90s song. It was Busta Rhymes, you know, so he was real big in the '90s. But that I recently, you know, I put it on like one of my Spotify lists, and it's still good. It's still good. So yeah, that was like a very like, you know, nostalgic kind of feel when that song came out. I was like, you know, that's Knight Rider, right? For people who don't know, that's Knight Rider. Where's KITT?
That's kind of like the start of like when, you know, we're starting to get older because we're recognizing like these things are starting to resurface and the younger kids just
they're sampling stuff in songs.
This is cool, but they don't know what it's from, and we're like, oh yeah, I know what that's from. You know,
that's Knight Rider, man. So yeah, KITT. Mark, you don't have to kill Nick now, or me. Anything else we can say about Knight Rider other than it was awesome?
That's it. Number three.
I've kind of skirted this for quite a while. We've talked so many things about things we love as kids from shows, and like I've always kind of danced around it but never talked about it. It's the party wagon from the Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. An awesome toy.
The Turtle Van.
The Turtle Van, also known as the Turtle Van. They've done it, you know, new versions of it in the movie. Just doesn't do it justice, though.
The original 80s party wagon.
And it was kind of like the A-Team van in a way. Because it was their headquarters, kind of like, you know, it's where they all got around. If it was in the Turtle Van. Had all the neat little gadgets inside of it.
Yeah.
And the toy was, like, on point. Because all the turtles could fit inside of it. And, you know, it would even have that neat little thing where you, like, pull the door that would swing open and they would be, like, buckled in. Like, be some kind of gun.
Yeah.
From the side, the door that slides out, it just kind of popped open. Because, you know, they would always have neat things like that in the cartoon, where whether it be a gun or whatever, you know, it wasn't just a van. It was also, like, a weapon and their base. It was, like, their rolling headquarters.
Right.
But, yeah, like, you know, that rockin' theme from the Ninja Turtles song, and like April's driving the car and like they shoot out of the top.
Yeah.
Very memorable for me is the party wagon. I always called it the Turtle Van, but I guess technically it was the party wagon.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You know, doing research on it. And you know, it wasn't really featured, I guess, a whole lot after those first couple of episodes from the cartoon. And they did give it, like I said, a nod in the recent, you know, Michael Bay-ish movies.
Right.
But it was some weird, like, little, like, Mini Cooper-esque version of a van. And then they converted to, like, just a big old garbage truck in the most recent one.
Right.
But the party wagon from the Turtles, it's on my list just as much as it being a cool toy as it is just being, like, iconic to me. It even pops up in the arcade game.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Where, like, April O'Neil, like,
immediately crashes it off the...
Yeah, she pulls up to the side and picks him up and then immediately crashes.
Hang on, guys.
Yeah. I only wish... could you drive the Turtle Van in the old 8-bit Nintendo game? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
You got around in it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of your way to get around, like, the overmap part.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I love that little...
It would shoot missiles or something, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. I was trying to remember, like, I'm not crazy, but the Turtle Van was in that game. You know, it was Ninja Turtles, and it was the coolest toy of the Ninja Turtles, although some might argue that pizza shooter thing was the coolest.
Oh, right, yeah.
The one that would just, like, zing pizzas like crazy.
Yeah.
I never actually had that, but I wish I had gotten it because people talk about how fun it was. And it actually came with, like, little, like, to-scale pizzas. Which is crazy because none of the toys ever came with little pizzas.
Right, and that was their thing.
Yeah, they were crazy about pizza. So, that's my number 3 is the Party Wagon from the Ninja Turtles.
Cool.
Nick, what's your number 3, sir?
Number 3. Oh, okay. Oh, number 3. This is a big one. This is very iconic, I think, at least for our era, the late 80s.
Yeah.
89 Batmobile.
Got me beat, dude.
Oh, man.
That is the sexiest damn...
That, my opinion, every Batmobile there ever was, that's the best Batmobile.
I always compare it to that Batmobile. Why can't it be more like that Batmobile?
Yeah, I mean, and I like the the old series, like the '60s series,
the convertible.
Batmobile. I like that one. That's cool. Mm-hmm. But man, the '89 Batmobile, what was it? Tim Burton Batmobile.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was a Corvette.
Yeah. With
a KITT. But yeah, that thing was awesome. I remember there was like an MTV promotion where you can actually win the Batmobile.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I was a kid of the MTV. That was one of my big things of the 80s. So yeah, I remember seeing that promotion. Like when they make a movie, they have multiple different versions of the vehicles.
Right.
And they actually gave one away. You routinely see the Batmobile at car shows.
Yeah, yeah.
We were talking about our biggest disappointments, that kind of came up. I don't think I ever actually saw it at a car show, though, sadly.
I haven't, no.
Yeah, I've never been that close to the Batmobile. But yeah, it had that, like, jet engine thing on the back of it.
Yeah.
And the scene in the 89 Batman where Batman's taking, Vicky Vale back to the lair. And, there's that awesome scene where, like, the Batmobile, like, drives away and, like, the leaves are blowing. And, it's making that awesome, like, muscle car sound to it.
Yeah.
It had that neat shield.
Yeah.
That you would put
shields
up.
On.
Shields. Yeah, and with the little special effects. They looked kind of cool. Still doesn't look bad.
Yeah, the little grappling hook so you can, like, do those tight turns.
Oh, those impossible turns? Yeah. Very cool. I always thought the accelerator thing looked kind of strange. Like there was a scene where he like presses down on the accelerator, and it's real strange looking. I always like look at that and go like, what the hell kind of gas pedal is that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was radio controlled apparently. He could get that, or remote controlled. It'd just come right to him if he called it. Mm-hmm. Damn, yeah. Now I don't think I ever had that as a toy.
No, I didn't. No.
Now, when I think about that too, like the Batman the Animated Series, Batmobile comes up.
And that was very good. It was patterned off of that one quite a bit, but it was sleeker, more straight lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely had a sleeker look, like you said, a cleaner look. But that whole show, Batman the Animated Series, was patterned, I think, after those.
That one definitely was a good design, whereas like in the movies it just kind of kept getting worse.
Well, in Batman Returns, it was like
it was pretty much the same thing in Returns, so it was still good then. But then the next one, it
Forever.
had like these big like fins like coming up.
Yeah, and then like the sides split apart, and he drove it up a wall or something one time, and it just had a real weird look to it. I didn't like it. Yeah. And I guess they used the same kind of design for the Batman and Robin.
Yeah, well, it's Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. It just kept getting stupider and stupider.
And then they went to the Tumbler in the Batman Begins, and it was way different.
Yeah, and the Tumbler's cool and all, but I'm just not a fan of the Batmobile being like a tank.
Right. It's just too off. It's black and cool. And I love how it like would split apart and become like the Batcycle. The Batcycle was cool.
Yeah, that was neat.
It had those big old knobby tires. But yeah, the Batmobile 89, for my money, is the best Batmobile out there. And, like you say, respected the 66 version. Jeez, man. Yeah, that could have been on my list. I think, was it? No. It wasn't one of the ones you said you'd fight me over. We're going to get to that later. We both thought 89 Batmobile.
The 89 Batmobile is one that one of us got to do. I don't really care who.
One of us has got to talk about it. We agree it's like one of the coolest, most iconic vehicles in any movie or TV show. Yeah. Or anything. It's just, man, it was awesome. Good choice, Nick.
Yeah. Has to
you
be
thought of that all on your own. So let's see. That's your number 3.
Yeah. So number 4.
Okay, we're gonna get into some sci-fi stuff now.
Okay.
Something that's not an actual car. Well, I mean, I did the spaceship earlier.
Well, we're doing vehicles. It doesn't have to be a car.
Mm-hmm. I want to get into the world of Star Wars. Now, Star Wars has a lot of cool vehicles in it.
Oh, yes, they do.
And some I'm gonna have to do shout-outs for, but specifically, I'm gonna talk about the AT-AT. That
all-terrain armored transport, something like that.
Yes, that's close enough.
Close enough.
But yeah, that thing is so cool. When you first see it in The Empire Strikes Back, and they're on Hoth, and the rebels are preparing for some kind of strike. They don't know what.
Yeah.
The Empire's coming, and they're going to come with excessive force. And of course, they're looking through the binoculars, and way off in the distance, you see these like little tiny dogs or something, but they're making that stomping sound.
Yeah.
So they're big. And then you get a bigger, closer up look of it, and my God, that thing was so awesome.
Yeah.
I did have that as a toy, and I actually
did you?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I had it. I didn't have a lot of Star Wars toys, but I had that one. And it was one of those like toys that like played nicely with other lines of toys. I could fit a G.I. Joe in there or whatever, because they were like similar in size. But I repurposed that AT-AT for all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And but it's not just the toy that like makes me so fond of it. It was just like the sheer size of it. It
was huge.
So impressive. And how are they going to defeat these things?
You seem to get more bigger toys, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I was big into the bigger toys. Because you start off with the small stuff, and then you can't help but be impressed by the bigger stuff.
Oh, I was plenty impressed by the big stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They just,
Well, they were always more expensive, too.
Right.
Well, I got that at a yard sale or something. Like, I can't believe they're selling their AT-AT, and I paid like $5 for it or something. It's like, yes!
Wow. Yeah, well, we'd go off on a tangent, but yeah, I've come across such good deals. Like, oh, wow, you get this thing for $5. So, anyway.
Yeah. Well, I got my Grimlock that one time for like around $6 or something. I was like, you seriously? But yeah, the AT-AT's awesome. And then, of course, Luke takes him down with his snowspeeder with the cable, wraps it around the legs. I don't know how many times I've played that in a video game.
Yeah. We mentioned that, I think, in like the Nintendo 64 episode. Yeah.
It doesn't get a much more Star Wars than the AT-AT.
Any Star Wars game, that's like it's a prerequisite to have a Star Wars game almost, to have the Hoth battle and being able to trip the AT-ATs with the tow cable.
Mm-hmm. I was so happy and so excited when they brought the AT-ATs back for the Rogue One.
Yeah.
Because, of course, it's set right in that timeline.
Yeah.
So here they are, man. They're stomping on a beach, dude. They're not even in the snow anymore.
Yeah, that was
You're
good.
like, what would an AT-AT look like on a beach? Like, It was like, holy crap. I never knew I wanted to see that, but that was like the coolest thing.
That was very fun to see.
Yep, and he shoots the rocket and hits the AT-AT, and its head goes to the side. The most beautiful shot in all of Rogue One in my mind.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to see some more AT-ATs possibly in future adaptations. They got the Han Solo movie coming.
Well, I've read recently, and I've been trying not to, like, some of these things I just kind of see as I'm scrolling through, like, my news feed, and I'm not clicking on them and, like, reading any more detail.
Yep.
But one thing I did happen to kind of catch is that in the new movie, there's going to be kind of a remodeled version like of the AT-AT that won't go down with tow cables. That's pretty much like all I saw
in the new movie. I think you see those too. Like there's that scene where the ships are lined up and they're kind of like they're all in a line and they're flying to something.
Yeah,
and they're dragging like that red sand or whatever. And in the distance, there's like some stuff.
Yeah.
You just get a quick shot of it. If you paused it, you probably couldn't even make it out still.
But yeah, so I guess the Empire realized the flaw that they can be tripped up with tow cables, and so there's a new design now that you can't do that.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I'm way excited. If I wasn't more excited to see that movie, I am now. But yeah, Star Wars, like I say, it's just so many great vehicles. I gotta pick that one out, as my number 4. Nick? What's your number 4?
All right, well, I'm going to carry on with the Star Wars theme.
Please
do. My favorite Star Wars vehicle would have to be Darth Vader's TIE Advanced. Just it was so different than the other TIE fighters. It had the wings that had the angles on them.
Yeah.
And
a TIE fighter fit for Darth Vader.
Yeah, it really stood out among the other ones, and just I've always loved Darth Vader's TIE fighter.
I'm thinking about that scene. You talk about there's probably not a more iconic scene for video games, the trench run from the first Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, and you really only saw that ship in the one movie. In A New Hope is really the only time you ever saw it.
Yeah.
But just so iconic.
It looked so cool. I didn't know that was like such a big thing for you.
Oh,
Did you have the toy, of course?
No. I did not. No.
Well, Star Wars toys were like late 70s, early 80s. We probably were just like...
I had a TIE fighter.
Cool.
But not Darth Vader's version.
So then TIE fighters are also you're really fond of those as well. Then,
yeah.
Would you say you were like more fond of the TIE fighters than the X-Wings?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're really neat. I thought it was really cool in the Force Awakens when they like hijacked that TIE fighter.
Yeah.
It was like tied to the cable or whatever. And
yeah.
Poe was trying to pilot it out.
There was that PC game. There was like an X-Wing game, a TIE fighter game, and an X-Wing versus TIE fighter game.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, like I was always preferred to play like the Empire and play like a TIE fighter. It just because you see like through that window, like when you see the view, like in the movies.
The bad guys always get the cool vehicles.
Yeah.
I don't know why. They seem to.
Even though, I guess a TIE fighter is like super weak. It doesn't have the shields. And
they always go down like a bitch. Like they always
like one shot. It just
one shot up. They go spinning out of control. Like they're so nimble and they turn on a dime. Like
the sound, as they go fly by.
TIE fighters are really cool, and it's just like the ST version of a TIE fighter, basically.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I can't argue with that pick. I thought you were gonna say like Millennium Falcon or something when you got there.
No, that's very iconic. But yeah, no, for me, it's all about Darth Vader's TIE fighter.
Awesome. You learn something new every day, I guess. Anything else you want to say about that?
No. What are we on? Number 5 already?
Yeah, we're getting to shout out territory.
Shout out time.
Yep, shout out time. It's the part of the show where we like cheat a little bit. These lists are hard to make, so we have to make decisions and things get cut. And we mentioned Herbie and the Mach 5 and the Mystery Machine.
Since it's shout out time and we're already talking about Star Wars,
okay,
I might as well go back and say I love speeder bikes also.
Oh, hell yeah.
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. Damn.
Love speeder bikes.
That was the first Star Wars toy I ever got.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and that was so cool because you hit the button.
Yeah, they would explode. Yeah, dude. Those speeder bikes were really, really cool. I agree. Really neat. The effect of flying through the forest.
Yeah.
You take the Ewoks out and you'd have a really good thing, but I guess.
I like the Ewoks.
Ewoks are fine. I'm just kidding.
Everybody gives them a hard
It's Jar Jar Binks that I want to hang.
Yeah.
So the speeder bikes are great. I mentioned, of course, the Millennium Falcon. I love the Millennium Falcon. It's my favorite ship of all the ships.
Yeah.
Those Imperial ships that have like the wings that they're kind of like
the shuttle.
Yeah, the shuttles are cool.
Yeah,
I like the shuttles. I think those are really neat. The Y wings are cool.
Yeah.
X wings are awesome, of course. Let's see.
Well, you're just going down the list.
I think so.
A wing, B wing.
All right. You gotta check me, right? I gotta stop talking about Star Wars vehicles. There's so many of them, dude. It's what makes Star Wars so neat.
Yeah.
You're talking sci-fi. You gotta get into that. What other shout outs you want to give?
What else we got? Oh man, a warthog like from Halo.
Oh heck yeah, dude! Halo was our game for a while.
Man, I remember with like the first time we really played Halo and just the controls of the warthog and just how it would slide around.
It, in a way, controlled like a character did. It
had weight to it.
Yes, it did. Is there anything more satisfying or more insulting than, getting in the Warthog, one guy's going to town with the turret, and you're just trying to run people over? You're not even so much trying to kill people with the turret, it's just run them over.
Right.
When we were getting cocky as hell, that's what we would do. It's just like fly around on Blood Gulch, or take the Warthog right into the base of Blood Gulch and like smash a guy. Oh yeah, we had lots of fun with the Warthog.
Yeah, try to like turn those corners in the base and try to get it as far into the middle as you could.
Or up on the Blood Gulch, that that ledge, that like real narrow ledge, and you'd be up there like, like people know you're up there, and you'd shoot a rocket that way, but we didn't care. We'd see a guy up there sniping, we're like, we're coming for you, son of a bitch. Oh man, good call on the Warthog, dude. That was great.
Tell me if you know this one. The Eagle 5.
Eagle 5. Drawing a blank. What's that from?
Spaceballs.
Oh, the Winnebago! Oh shit! That's like that may be my favorite all-time comedy. I forgot it was called Eagle 5. Was it like on the Winnebago itself somewhere?
I think there was like maybe like one line or something where he's like radio in or something.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Oh man, Barf and Lone Star trekking away in their Eagle 5. That is a really iconic vehicle, to be fair. I guess it was supposed to be like an X-wing.
It's just a Winnebago with like wings across.
It really did. That's all it is. It's a Winnebago with wings. They went to like no trouble at all, like putting that together. What was on the bumper sticker on the back? Because they always had like bumper stickers. That was Spaceball 1. Yeah.
I don't remember now. All I remember is the "We Break for No One."
Remember in the back too, like it had like because Barf was like part dog. And like there was like a fire hydrant back there and all kinds of weird stuff. Yeah. I think there was like a pinball machine or something. Okay, good shout out. While we're on the subject of movies, I'd like to give a shout out to that really cool forklift thing that Ripley was using at the end of Aliens.
Oh yeah, they had like a name, Power Loader or something. like that.
Yeah. Oh god, I love that thing so much. Yeah. And it's not really a vehicle per se, but you get in it and you're moving around in it, so it kind of.
And then they did that again in Avatar.
Yeah, they did. That felt like a total rip off, but Aliens as another
which
really.
Sigourney Weaver was in.
No, right. In the back of her head, she's thinking, "No, he did it better back in the day." But yeah, I love that power loader. It was really cool. The Ferrari from Ferris Bueller. They steal, and then the two parking attendant guys take it for a wild ride all day long. That was like a big point or a big part of the movie. Yeah. Stealing Fry's dad's Ferrari GTO
they try
California.
To, like, put it in reverse to like take the miles off.
Yeah, they thought that was gonna work, and then it gets destroyed.
Yeah,
in a fit of rage, like Fry like keeps kicking on the front of the
shoots out.
Yeah, and it's on a jack, but the wheels are just spinning. Oh, that was heartbreaking when that car like went through the glass and then crashed into the trees. Let's see, anything else?
Tron Light Cycle.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a very cool vehicle.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And that whole scene, they just grab hold of like a stick basically, and then it just kind of forms around.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah, it was just like a stick they had, and then they would just kind of run, and it would turn into a motorcycle.
Yeah. And
it like left a trail that was like a physical barrier.
Yeah.
Which you would only see in a video game, but that was the point of Tron.
Very cool.
Yeah. Those Tron bikes were really neat. I agree. That would be a cool choice in another list, but for sure a shout out.
Yeah.
But I guess that's it. We'll just get on with our number 5s.
All right, number 5.
I guess I'm gonna go ahead and say my all-time favorite. I guess we've been kind of here recently been sticking to our 5s or our number 1s. The DeLorean from Back to the Future. The is it 81 DMC 12 whatever. Doc said it best, like if you're gonna build a time machine, you might as well make it like build it with some style.
Right.
And when Marty's got his camcorder and he, there's that dry ice moment where like that comes out off the ramp, and it looks so damn cool.
Yeah.
It looked like, and the DeLoreans were a real thing. They didn't make a whole lot of them, I guess. Like the story of the DeLorean I can't really get into a whole lot, but I know that it was like some guys went bankrupt making them.
Right.
And the DeLorean will forever be a famous car because of Back to the Future. And the Back to the Future trilogy was
any
great.
DeLoreans that still exist, people are like
turn it into that.
Not like the time stuff all over it to be like the Back to the Future DeLorean.
Yeah. Put a little flux capacitor behind them, and the time circuits and all that stuff.
Mr. Fusion.
Mr. Fusion later in the first movie, and it plays in so big in the second movie. And then, of course, they put train wheels on it in the third movie, and then it gets destroyed. Broke my heart, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the DeLorean, it was an essential. It's like for me, the definitive thing for this list. Like, it was central to the movie itself. It was the time machine, and it looks so damn cool. And I wanted one of those. And it kind of resembled like a Lamborghini a little bit, which was like my all-time favorite 80s car. Yeah. It had those doors that kind of opened up like wings. And
it's like, what was
from Mask.
From Mask, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Matt
I actually thought
Backer's
about
car.
putting that on my list, but then I was like, that's too similar to the DeLorean.
Yeah.
I forget that. But yeah, it was like that red Trans Am or whatever. It opened up and it would fly away. Yeah, the DeLorean is so darn cool, man. And I'm happy to see that in that Ready Player One movie, it gets a big cameo.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah. No, but.
Oh, okay. I'm looking forward to that so much. So like people are like, oh man, I would love to get another Back to the Future, movie. Well, you're gonna get the DeLorean in some way in that movie, so that'll be great to see it again. You had the cartoon. Was it the cartoon, I guess?
Yeah, I remember the cartoon.
Yeah. That DeLorean went through so many changes. They put the white walls on it and ran it towards the screen in the third movie.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yep.
Yeah.
But then they made it fly. It turned in
the wheels turned underneath.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any cooler, at the end of the first movie, it turns into this flying hovercraft car. And then they played up big time on that in the second movie. Mm-hmm. Loved it so much. They got so much out of that vehicle. I guess we got to shout out the hoverboard, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty big. Yeah. But, what else can I say about the DeLorean? I mean, everybody knows the DeLorean.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
That name now, I mean, everybody, you hear DeLorean, people think of Back to the Future.
Even people today, like younger kids, I'm sure probably still think of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a great movie, man. It's still so very watchable. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's my fifth, or you could just go ahead and call it my favorite, my number one. What about you, Nick? What are you saving for us?
Well, I thought of one more shout out.
Okay.
The turtle van. It reminded me of the Thunder Tank from Thundercats.
Oh yeah, that thing was cool.
Yeah, that was cool. It was cool how the back kind of opened up and it had a turret that would pop up.
Yeah, and it was like a tank.
And it had the claws.
Yes, reminds me of that Toy the Animal, where it had the claws over the wheels.
Yeah,
it looked very cool, and they used it a lot in the cartoon. But anyway, it's a great effect.
Yeah. So anyway, my fifth one, which this was the one that I said I would fight you for. Okay. I get, I don't care what you say, I get to have Ecto-1.
Ecto-1. Yeah. Ghostbusters right here, buddy.
Ecto-1. I don't even know what else to even say about that. It just...
I looked this up. It's a 1959 Cadillac Miller Meteor.
No, see, I couldn't have said that.
Yeah, I couldn't have remembered it myself, but I, Google searched it. I was like, what kind of car is that, actually? Because it shows up in the movie very innocuously. They need a car, and Dan Aykroyd spends all this money on this old heap. He's like, it's great,
it's a piece of junk. Oh, and it needs this and
he goes
this and this and this.
Yeah, he goes on to list every part a car can have, But other than that, it's great.
Yeah. But, when preparing for this list, and I was just kind of I got onto Google and just kind of remind myself of some vehicles I might forget, something forgetting about. Final Fantasy VII on a PlayStation wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
That when I was looking up, most memorable I forget how I worded it, but fictional vehicles of all time or whatever. It was like a list, and there was like a picture for like kind of a header.
Yeah.
With the list, and the picture that they led with was Ecto-1.
Yeah, Ecto-1's awesome. It was essential to the Ghostbusters.
I wouldn't have needed any help to remember that one though.
Hell no, man. Ecto-1 was awesome. Like I say again, it was just their transportation. But
and I prefer the original Ecto-1 opposed to when Ghostbusters 2 when they had.
Where they put like
Ecto-1A.
LEDs and stuff on it.
Yeah, and they had like the yellow and black kind of striping on the sides, and I mean it was neat and all. But
yeah, it was close enough.
I prefer the original Ecto-1.
Where they hadn't modded it at all.
Yeah,
it was just they gave it a paint job, but it was like a heap.
And there was Ecto-1 in the new movie with the female cast, and it
was a callback.
It's not the same.
It didn't have any of the personality of the original Ecto.
Yeah, I could see what they were trying to do, but it wasn't the same.
That siren, that like European style siren. It's great. You can't think of Egon and Ray and Stan without and Winston without the Ecto-1. Yeah. They even gave it a great name.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like something that they came back and later gave it a name. Like I remember it said Ecto-1 in the movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so, on the license plate.
I wonder whose idea it was to pick
like the
that
very
vehicle.
first scene, like after the first scene where you see it all painted up, because before it was like when the piece of junk when Ray first got it,
right.
And then the very first scene, like when they're going off to the hotel to to capture Slimer.
That's what they did with it.
The doors open, you see Ecto-1.
Oh, which is what they did in the remake too. Like they kind of came out of the thing or whatever, and I think it said Ecto-1 maybe even too.
Yeah, I don't remember. It
the remake, we could go off on that, but we'll just say it was okay. It wasn't as bad as people say.
I didn't even realize you were wearing.
Oh yeah, I'm wearing the Ghostbusters. Well, I had a feeling you'd go with Ecto-1, so I like to wear a little something related to the show if I can. And I had a Millennium Falcon shirt, but it's like. I'm not even going to put it in my list. So, this was foreshadowing Nick's pick. Yeah. Ecto-1 was amazing. It was totally awesome. And I assume you had the toy.
I did, yes.
Okay.
I had.
Don't let me down and say you didn't have the toys. I knew you had the firehouse. You had to have the car, too.
Yeah, I had Ecto-1.
Okay. Well, I mean, what else can we say about Ecto-1? I mean, it pops up quite a bit in our conversations on
that was like the car I wanted, like growing
like in real life.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid and dreaming about when I'd be old enough to drive or whatever, I wanted a car like Ecto-1.
For a long time too, there was like an Ecto-1 like replicant, they would drive around town around Halloween. Yeah. Promoting like haunted houses for the area. And I always loved seeing that in the wild, like driving around. It wasn't like exactly the car, but it was really close.
I've been like downtown before and I'm like, oh, it's the Ecto-1.
Mm-hmm. God bless you guys. You're doing good work. If you're still out there, I have no idea. I haven't seen it in a while. Yeah. Well, okay. Which is better, the DeLorean or Ecto-1? You guys can fight it out in the comments down below.
Ecto-1.
DeLorean,
I love the DeLorean, but Ecto-1.
It can time travel, man. You wouldn't want a DeLorean. Okay, respect. I love Ecto-1 too. Check out our Facebook page, The BitGeeks. I don't think we have anything to share as far as pictures go this week.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. Because, in other episodes as we talk, I think, oh, there's something I can post.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know nothing this time.
No, but I had fun this week talking about the vehicles from TVs and movies. And I asked you about, the idea. I'll try to come up with ideas for shows, and you were on board with it. I was like, hell yeah, dude, this is going to be a fun show. If there's any vehicles that we didn't cheat and shout out or actually in our list, you want to drop them down in the comments, let us know. There's all kinds of things that we didn't even do in the shout out that I know, and I'm not even going to say because I'm going to wrap this show up. But anyways, for this week, I've been Ron Avis.
I'm Nick Wright.
Talk to you later.